Good morning, good morning, guys. Glad to have you back, and glad that it's a nice Sunday with no rain to interrupt us. I hope that you have all had a great week. Glad that you've made it to join us. Yes, so it's been quite an interesting turn, or turn one was quite an interesting turn, I should say. We had the Russians / Austrians / Prussians heading down in a southwesterly direction, and they engaged with the Old Guard and the Reserve Corps. Morty, go get it. Sorry, I forgot to let my dog get his breakfast. And they engaged with the French Old Guard and Reserve Corps, who were down this area. Up in the north, the French orders were to try and advance and catch this lone, isolated Prussian corps. They almost caught them, but not quite. So we'll see how it goes this turn. In the center for the coalition, their main order was for everyone to withdraw down. So as I said, these Prussians were starting up here, so they made their move. This corps failed to receive orders, so they didn't move. And I can't remember which the other one was. There was another corps that couldn't move. Maybe it was that one. One of those two. Couldn't move either due to the orders not coming through. So it wasn't too bad. Overall, the plan for the coalition seems to be working. They swing their weight down to the southwest, and the French are at this stage still sort of trying to play to catch up and figure out what their plan's going to be. Good evening, Luke. Glad you're with us. Hope you had a great week as well. We're just doing a quick recap. But yeah, overall, it was quite an interesting turn. There was the one engagement over on this side. It was pretty well equal in casualties. I guess it was a bit of a delaying action for the French. Gave the Allies a bit of a bloody nose, but they kind of gave as good as they got. So pretty indecisive, and ended with the French managing to withdraw through the fog without taking any further casualties. So I would say, although it was a tactical victory for the coalition, I'd say it's a strategic victory for the French, because it would have been ideal for the coalition to have managed to destroy at least one of those corps early on. But yeah, so that's the recap of what happened in turn one. Got turn two. Before we start, if you have any questions throughout, just chime in, leave a comment, and at certain points I'll kind of pause just so that you can make comments and make suggestions. So this week in the game time, we are in turn two, which takes us from the 31st of January through to the 6th of February. So we're progressing quite nicely. So we'll start off with initiative. We've got the blue dice for the French, red dice for the coalition, and Napoleon, his initiative or his skill level is one above the highest level of any of the coalition commanders. So that gives them a +1 to their roll. And we'll see what we get. So his +1 makes it a draw. So that means a draw grants the French initiative for 2 of their army groups, and then everyone else moves simultaneously. So initiative is drawn. Cool. Next up, we have got the weather. So what do we need? We need our percentile dice. It is, I'd say the majority of this week is going to be February. So we'll roll on the February line, which gives us a 91, which is snow. Okay, it's going to be snowy. That is going to affect movement and shooting. So not particularly good, but okay, never mind. We are still going to have 12 turns per battle at this stage. So yeah, be an interesting one. Cool. Historical events for turn 2 or this week. There was actually historically heavy snow in late January. All forces have limited movement and logistics. Additionally, the coalition player suffers a slight attrition penalty representing the difficulty of keeping an army supplied in hostile territory. So there we go. Our game rolls actually tie into history quite nicely. So overall, it's just going to mean that unless we force march, well, even if we force march, everyone's movements will be halved. All right. Random events. So let's roll for the French. And we've rolled a 4, which is Broken Spirit. Rumors of coalition advances cause unrest. 1 unit loses -5 cohesion points this turn. Oh, that's not so good. So They rolled a 4 -5 cohesion to 1 unit. All right, we will figure out who that is later. On to the coalition, and we've got a 3. And the 3 is coalition coordination. Troops from various allied nations rally. 3 units gain +1 morale check, +1 to their morale checks this turn. Okay, so that'll be useful if there's a pitched battle. Luke, I think it would be right for the Central French forces to have the initiative bonus in the draw, as that's where Boney is. The central ones is in these guys, or the central ones is in these. This is 5 and 6. That's 4 and 3. So if you just let me know which ones you mean specifically. But yeah, I would agree that wherever he is personally, which is actually there, is probably where we should go for. So yeah, just to clarify that if you could. Let me just write down for the coalition. It was troops from various, so +1 to morale during battle. 3 units. Cool. 4 and 3. Okay, so these guys here should get the... Yep, agreed. I think that makes a lot of sense. Unless anyone else wants to chime in and overrule, but I would say that makes the most logical sense here. Cool. So there is logistics, but I do that at the end when I'm doing all my bookkeeping. So I won't bore you with that. Cool. Movement. The piece that we've all been waiting for. Let's go and see what the overall voting has been. So for the coalition, option 1 was 2 corps head northeast to engage the French vanguard. Central forces move to the center to split the French forces, and Southern forces continue to pursue the French in the south. And that got 9% of the votes. Option 2 was 2 corps, which would be those two, head north to engage the French. The central forces move to the center, but they kind of move in a more northerly direction. The rest of the coalition forces still aim to catch these 2 corps. And option 2 got 27%. Option 3 sees all forces continuing in a southwesterly advance. That got 23%. And option 4 was similar to option 3, as in everyone's kind of swinging down, but the central group moved towards the center in an attempt to prevent the French from escaping. So if we roll for that, if I can do these sums correct in my head, I'm going to need those. We decided this term we were going to try something slightly different, whereby instead of just going for the one with the highest, yeah, that would, whatever the percentage your vote was, would give a higher likelihood of that event coming, and then we'd roll the dice to figure out which one it was. So for the coalition, we've rolled a 10, 10. Okay, so that is... Oh, wait, sorry. I rolled D20. That explains why that was weird. There we go. 18. That seems more like it. So an 18 gives us option 2. And option 2 was 2 corps head north. So these 2 are going to be trying to head north to engage the French. The central forces move to the center and head up basically towards the French army, Corps 5, stuck in the center. And the Southern forces, which would be those guys, continue their pursuit of the French. Okay, so that's a pretty good overall option for the coalition, I would say. And for the French, we shall see. So option 1 for the French was Southern and Northern forces collectively pull back into a more central position. Option 2 was the Southern forces move west and sort of cross the river and try and form a blocking force to prevent the coalition from moving towards Paris. Central Northern forces, so those 2, move to a more central position while the Eastern troops continue their pursuit. Option 3 sees the Southern forces move west again to block the enemy. All Northern forces collectively move towards the center. and 4 sees all forces just in general move towards the center. So we'll quickly roll on that and see what we get. We've got a 43, so that's going to be option 2. So option 2 sees southern forces move west, so they're going to move into a blocking position. Central northern forces move more centrally, and these two continue their pursuits. Okay. Evening, Fly Kamikaze. Great to see you, and hope everything's going well with you at home. Will, good to see you as well. Evening all. Managed to catch you. Yeah, I'm glad you're all here. So just in case anyone missed out on anything there, I'm not sure when you guys actually arrived. We were just rolling off to find out what happened, and we were using the new sort of percentage system. I think it might have been you, Will, that suggested it, whereby the overall votes, whatever the percentage was that voted for each, we would then roll our percentile dice, and that would give us our scores, our results. So this time, both options are option 2 for both nations, which is quite interesting because neither of those scored the highest in the actual voting. But good news for the French. So French get their 2 to move, which we discussed, which is going to be, again, unless anyone here wants to just jump in. Blutgang, good to see you as well. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yes, as we discussed earlier, the French, because we got a draw for initiative, the French are going to be their units first, and then everything else will be simultaneous. Luke suggested 3 and 4 for the French moving first to try and catch the Prussians. I agree with that. So unless any of you guys want to try and overrule us, then we will do that for the French. Hey, John, good to see you as well. Cool. So I'll give you guys just a second to comment if you wish to. Otherwise, we'll get them moving. Okay. So, Morty. Sorry about the dog. Morty, come on. Go and lie down. Come on. Gotcha. Sorry about the interruption. He heard someone coming. Cool. So, fighting. Okay, so that's going to give us our first turn for the French is going to be these guys here. So they are going to move, and they will be able to, despite the snow, catch the Prussians. So that's the first bit. Now we're going to move simultaneously. Do any of you guys think the... Yep, I think you might have seen the coalition coming, actually. Just trying to tell his crowd, yeah, he wants to get involved. No, I put my drink bottle down and he thought it was someone's car door, so he started guarding. Yeah, so I can't remember what I was going to say. French have moved, so that will be them caught. And now everyone is going to be moving simultaneously. Okay, so try and figure out how we do this. If any of you have ideas that you want to chuck in, feel free. So the French was option 2, which was going to be these chaps were going to withdraw across the river. So they'll be kind of moving in that sort of direction. At the same time, the coalition forces, we'll just kind of do each area. We're going to southern, where are we? Central forces, southern forces continue pursue the French. So these guys are going to continue their pursuit up, and so they will be hot on their heels. But due to the snow, what we'll do is, although it looks like they're going to catch them, we'll roll for the French to see if they cross the river before they get caught, and then we'll be able to figure out whether there's a battle on which side of the river. But that's basically what's happening there. These guys are going to carry on. Oh, yes, that was the question I was going to say. If you want anyone to speed march or have a forced march, let me know. Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading the comment about the no squirrels in New Zealand. No, unfortunately not. Okay. But yeah, if anyone wants any of these corps to try and speed march, or force march, just let me know and we can do that. Cool. If it looks like I'm not commenting on your comments, it's purely because I'm flicking from page to page trying to read what the actual options were. French forces, central forces, 2 corps head northeast to engage us. Coalition. Cool. Coalition. Central forces move to the center. So, yeah, these 3 here, the plan was for them to kind of move up towards Vitry-le-Francois, I think it's pronounced, although I could be completely butchering French. And these 2 to advance up to here. So these guys are going to do their attempt, which is going to get them to there. So they're not quite going to get there. These guys are going to be moving up, and they'll be crossing the country. And that's about it for them. And for the French, what are we doing for those northern forces? Move central. Okay, so yeah, I think the plan was more for them to kind of move to where this sort of group of crossroads was. So it's interesting, but at the same time, it could end up backfiring on the French, because with these troops moving in that sort of direction, we're going to end up with 3 isolated groups fighting against potentially superior enemy numbers. But hey, it's war. It's fog of war. Cool. Where were we with the comments? Sorry, just back. For those joining a little late, it is snowing. End of July. Thanks, Luke, for recapping, everyone. Fly Kamikaze, force march, 3 Southern Corps for the coalition. So just to clarify, you're saying force march these 3 to try and catch up. Yeah. Why did I suggest those dice rolls? The French get off the hook. Well, it could work out, could not. Who knows? This is going to be an interesting corner. That's going to be interesting. And then we've got these groups moving up. Who knows? Give it a couple of turns. Try and catch the French guard before or while they're crossing the river. Yep. Okay. Southernmost coalition corps push along the south road to try and flank. Okay, so we'll do a attempt force march for them, and we just do the rolls. So coalition armies, roll on a d10, which is that one. Let's have a look. So on a 1 to 4, they fail. No, they get it off. So on a 5 to 7, they get to move, which will give them. That gets them to there. Okay. And those guys there. Let's roll for them. Cool. Yep. Cool. So 2 of them, we'll just say the front 2 get the march off. The others get bogged down in the snow. So those 2 will definitely sort of catch up to the French. 7. Great idea. We are stuck with the voting dice gods now, just making the best of it. Exactly. It does add that friction, that sort of fog of war that no one quite knows what's going on. Flanking move makes sense. Yeah. Cool. So that's everyone happy with those marches. So they got off. Those 2 advanced towards the French. No one else wanting anything else to be force marched this turn. Same for the French. Do you want these chaps to try and march faster? These guys have already caught them. So again, let me know. I mean, I would say probably it makes sense for them to try and rapidly get past, but yeah, that would be my suggestion. Is I would say the first group who were at the town will cross. It's the second. Will they cross or will they be caught? So let's see. Ooh, 10. Okay, so yeah, they are able to march with no ill effects. So they will be crossing. And then we shall, seeing as everyone's force marching, I think probably the best thing to do is just leave it to fate. And on a 1, 2, or 3, the French have crossed. On a 4, 5, or 6, the coalition catch them. And we got a 6. So the coalition do catch the French as they're sort of in the process of crossing. So we will have a battle. River crossing. Guard / reserves of the French versus Russians and Austrians. It's kind of like a round 2 of the previous turn. Just this time the Austrians and the Russians won't have the reinforcements, which didn't actually come into play last turn anyway, so it'll be exactly the same. So interesting. And then we've got our battle up here as well. So we've got the French 3 and 4 versus Prussians number 9. Cool. Good job for the coalition forces. Yeah, that could work out very nicely for them, but we shall wait. That's going to be an interesting one there. So just one last time, do you want these guys to try and attempt a force march, or are you happy with them just plodding in that direction? Okay, so that's good. That's all to do with after the battles, so that's fine. Cool. In North, yes, forced to join. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can get them to go. Where's the dice? Cool. So for the coalition, they've rolled a 2. So no, on a 2, they're not able to get it off. They just get bogged in the snow, I guess. So just regular march for them, unfortunately. Okay. So well, I think probably the best thing for the Prussians there will probably be to try and disengage because they are outnumbered. I can find out what they're going to be sort of. I think they're going to be outnumbered probably about 3-2. So not too terrible, but I think probably trying to do a fighting withdrawal might be the best option. The only downside for them is if they do, they'll be sort of withdrawing this way and they're still separated, so they could still get caught by the French, but that's if the French decide to pursue. So many options. Lacing their boots again. Can the Northern Prussian force make any kind of... Yes, yeah, we will try that. Shall we attempt that now? So we said it's snow, so that's going to give them a possible edge. I just need to check what they actually have in their force. So, because for withdrawal, it depends which side has more cavalry, because that will give you either an easier time to withdraw or a harder time to withdraw, depending on which way it goes. So the the Prussians have 1 unit of cavalry, and the French have 2. So it's going to be an advantage to the French. Okay, so we need our D6, and enemy has more cavalry. Cool, let's have a look. Okay, so that will be able to escape and they will take minimum damage. Okay, so let's just put that in for later. Prussians withdraw, minimal casualties. Cool, which is going to be D6 plus 2. Okay, yeah, 3. Okay, so that's not too bad. Okay, so they've managed to successfully extricate themselves. So they're still slightly ahead of the French. Yeah, we could do. Going back to what you... Sorry, I didn't see your second comment there. Usually I would, yeah, we've got it here, battles, reinforcements within battles, and then withdrawing from the battle. So that's what we usually do. It's up to you guys. I'll leave that one with you right now. I think that might be the more interesting thing, just so that we can have an extra battle. But up to you guys. Yes, that would be the best option. Okay, so let's say we'll actually fight this battle, and then, but the Prussians will be trying to withdraw as they go. So it'll be a fighting withdrawal. Yeah, that makes, just thinking about it, they could possibly start halfway across the table and have to get their troops off whilst the French are coming on to try and catch them. Yeah, that could be quite an interesting game, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure if you ever played. There was an old computer game like Napoleon in Russia, and the final one was the French withdrawing and trying to escape, and you had all the Russians coming on after a few turns to try and catch them. It would be kind of like that, so it could be quite interesting. Okay, that battle is back on. Just because I'm now excited to actually try and fight a withdrawal. So falling back on their mates in the south. Yeah. Okay, so now they are going to be trying to withdraw from the battle and head down south. See how it goes. Escaping with less than 10% count. Yep, that makes Good idea. Objective for Prussians. Escape. Less than 10% casualties. Cool. Yeah, that sounds like that's going to be an interesting one. So we've basically got a withdrawal of a battle here, and we've got a river crossing battle there. So yeah, 2 interesting fights. Cool. Overall, I think that's about it for this turn in regards to the sort of strategic elements. Unless any of you guys have any additional ideas or thoughts, they join their supporting troops and face about. Yeah. So I think you're suggesting sort of they withdraw back, try and get in with these guys, and then they can turn around and fight them. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, interesting. And when I kind of look at the map, although it's not exactly 100% historical, when you kind of think about the way things did go, you ended up with Blucher and his army up in the north, and you had the one group of Austrians and Russians heading south. And so it's actually kind of starting to form somewhat along those sort of lines already, which is actually quite interesting. So actually, yeah, Will, your idea, I think, is going to make it very, very interesting. So yeah, good one for you. Again, Fly Kamikaze, I like the idea about the percentages for the casualties in the battle, so I'll keep doing that. Yes, next week's fight. Yep. Cool. So exciting. Cool. Yeah. Unless there's anything else, guys, I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your days. I'm not sure what day it is wherever you are, but the rest of your day, nights, mornings, and I will see you all next week. But thank you all for joining us, and thank you for all the different suggestions and ideas that you've given. And it's definitely turning into something very, very interesting there. So yeah, interesting turn ahead. Cool. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.